Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got some of the biggest Palantir news that has ever dropped, honestly, I believe, since the company went public. Palantir has just introduced their fourth new platform in addition to Foundry, Gotham, and Apollo, called AIP, their artificial intelligence platform. AI has been everything. It is changing the world. It is disrupting itself every other day. ChatGPT, their website traffic went from about 200 million in December, monthly unique visits, to 1.6 billion in February. So the interest around AI, the level of startups that are leveraging AI, and the companies that are utilizing and incorporating some level of artificial intelligence into their business operations is truly becoming exponential. Palantir realized this. Palantir is one of the best AI machine learning companies on the planet, and that's not me saying that. That's independent studies and reports that have come out saying that Palantir has not only made the most revenue by far, even ahead of Microsoft when it comes to AI ML solutions, but they are the most effective in terms of integrating them for other businesses. As a result of that, they realized that the opportunity is now to capitalize on AI in a way that hasn't been done before. So we're going to go through the latest letter that CEO Alex Karp put out yesterday and really discuss what I think are the implications of this letter. I'm going to try to be objective here and try to give, obviously I'm very excited for this, but I'm also going to give some, bear cases around why this might not be as meaningful or why this might not be the biggest thing in the world. But after reading the letter, it's hard to not think that this is a pivotal moment in the trajectory of this company. And if they can execute the implementation of this software from a business perspective and from a tech perspective, then this shit is going to be big. All right, before I get into the video, please subscribe to dailypalantir.com/subscribe. It is a daily newsletter I put out every day around 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. I really think you will enjoy it. We are moving to Substack, so the quality of the newsletter is going to get even better because I just realized the Substack has like a lot of different tools, and it's going to be, I think, a really enjoyable newsletter every day just to get, 5 minutes worth of Palantir updates. If you're a Palantir investor, you have no reason not to subscribe. Daily newsletter every single day. We had like 200 people subscribe over the past couple of days. Super grateful. I think we're at 1,700 subs, trying to get to 2,000 by the end of the month. dailypalantir.com/subscribe. I put a lot of work into it. It would mean the world if you subscribe. It is free, and you get a newsletter every single day, Monday through Friday, about Palantir. All right, let's get into it. Karp says, our software and company were built for this moment. What a hell of a statement to start off the letter. The advent of more generalizable artificial intelligence systems has begun to materially transform and advance the business we founded nearly 2 decades ago. The momentum that we are seeing across our operations, both in the technical development of our software platforms and the acquisition of new customers that such development has made possible, i.e. their AI actually leading to sales, particularly in the United States, has significantly accelerated in recent months. Significantly accelerated, 200 million to 1.6 billion in terms of traffic for ChatGPT. That is what he means by that. We are working on and will be releasing shortly our new AI platform, AIP, which combines the machine learning technologies that we have developed for industrial and military partners with the latest large language models, or LLMs, that have recently captured public attention for customers across the commercial and governmental sectors. The deployment of AI in these novel contexts will only be made possible by foundational data platforms that enable the imposition of the legal and ethical constraints, as well as the implementation of regulatory requirements that now govern the use of data across industries and national boundaries. And we have spent 2 decades building those platforms. Okay, let's talk about that paragraph real quick, and then we'll get back into it. One of the reasons why I was attracted to Palantir is, if you guys know me and you keep up with the channel, I'm a very philosophical person. I did debate in high school. I debated philosophy a lot. So Karp speaking philosophy, it spoke to me immediately when I was researching the company. Most tech companies do not care about privacy or data. I mean, they just don't care about security of data. Google, Amazon, Facebook, they don't give a crap about that. They just want to monetize attention by selling ads. And as consumers, most of us over the past couple of years have realized, we just don't like that anymore. And we're still going to use those products because those products are embedded in our lives. But we are starting to care a little bit more about our own privacy and our own data. The reason Palantir left Silicon Valley and they went to Colorado is because they saw the monoculture that existed when it came to the relationship that people have with data. And they decided that they just wanted to have a different relationship. What Karp is saying in that paragraph, which I think was one of the most important paragraphs of the letter, which is that the governance and ethical relationship a company has towards the data will be the foundational element in terms of that data being utilized in the most intelligent of ways, the artificially intelligent ways, is going to be the basis for businesses to trust companies to have access to their data. So what he's saying is, for the past 2 decades, we've had a belief, which is why they were formed after 9/11, to be able to use fraud algorithms in a meaningful way to protect civil liberties and implement them into the government and now in the commercial use cases, of how can we actually make sure data is protected but still have phenomenal business use cases out of that data in a way that doesn't exploit it. And the advance of AI, the biggest question, this is why ChatGPT got banned in Italy the other day, is like, are you stealing data? How are you utilizing data? How are you manipulating data? How do you just scrape the web and just give answers? Are you giving credit to the publishers where you got those answers? From all of these ethical questions, Palantir is saying, hey, for the past 2 decades, we realized those questions were going to happen. We realized those questions are important. And that's why we built our platform to make sure that those questions are at the heart of the technology we built. From the start, we have built our software products on the premise that granular access controls, which constrain which specific users can access what data and under which conditions, imagine CIA and FBI using Foundry, but still having different access controls towards different levels of data since they each can't see different things, as well as limitations on the ability of a system itself to access data across an information network, that's Foundry itself not having access to data, were essential not only to the efficacy of the systems themselves, but to their adoption and acceptance by the public. Access controls, however, are not sufficient. We believe that the principal features of our software, which allows for the imposition of data of what we describe as ontology, a means of ensuring that such data reflects the structure of and actual objects in the real world, and the philosophical definition of ontology is the state of being, and incorporates branching capabilities that we have developed for the data models themselves, will come to be required by organizations that seek to implement artificial intelligence within the legal and regulatory as well as moral confines of their enterprises. Basically saying, the governance of data is going to be the number one thing a hospital, a government agency, a big pharmaceutical company actually looks towards when it comes to being able to implement any piece of software. Every large organization in the world will soon require a system with these capabilities. We will be releasing our platform to the companies across commercial sectors, including aviation, manufacturing, energy, banking, mining, pharmaceutical, and automotive industries, as well as government partners and around Europe across the world. So I'm going to keep going to, there's a lot of more stuff you guys can read in this, but here is sort of the core part of what the platform looks like. So he says, with the advent of more generalized machine learning and natural language processing systems, anyone will be able to now ask layered and complex questions in plain English, and soon other languages as well, of data sets integrated within our platforms. An intelligence analyst working for an allied nation in Europe, for example, might prompt AIP as follows. And again, AIP is their software. Which of our special forces units are closest to enemy tank positions and have sufficient supplies of Javelin missiles to mount an offensive? And which specific tanks on the battlefield are most vulnerable to an attack? The layered nature of this sort of query is what makes the ability of a user to interact and iterate with the system through plain language prompts so valuable, opening up data sets and data models for exploration by the entire class of non-technical analysts or across an organization while ensuring that users are only able to interact with data to which they have access. Let's show you another one. A scientist searching for new drugs at a large American pharmaceutical company, for example, might ask AIP the following. Which of our project's candidates' drugs is predicted to be the safest for the human use, and do we have the capacity to scale up production for a clinical trial of those drugs? That right there is the punchline of this entire letter, and that's what we've got to talk about now. So what you just saw is basically Karp saying, hey, this is what we think the world is going towards. ChatGPT, for those that have used it, I'm pretty sure everyone watching this has probably used it once. I just upgraded to ChatGPT Plus. I pay $20 a month, and it's the easiest $20 a month I'll ever pay because it is quite literally making me 100 times more productive in terms of doing the things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm not searching for answers. I'm not trying to do these things. I get everything immediately with simple prompts in plain English, and I get the job done. What if you could implement that within a business? What if you in a pharmaceutical company or in a hospital or in the DoD could have this chat-based user interface where you type in a query and through NLP and large language models that are trained upon the data that exists within that organization, not scraped across the entire web from 2021, but within that organization, you get an answer immediately. This is the next iteration of where the world is going. And CodeStrap, someone that we all know very well, he, quite literally predicted this in the past couple of his videos, basically by saying, look, what AI has created and what ChatGPT has shown from a novel use case is that the relationship we have towards accessing information, which is the name of the game, right? Like, how do we access information at the end of the day? And that controls the way society operates, has fundamentally changed because of the interfaces that we are now as consumers interacting with and the expectations we have from those interfaces to provide us answers. So again, why would I use Google to search for something and then click on links, and some of those may be sponsored and that leads to advertising revenue for Google, when something else can just give me the answer, when it's as easy as asking a question and getting an answer immediately, and as a result becoming more productive? What if that could be implemented within the enterprise? So for example, a pharmaceutical company, or let's say, a hospital. You are a very large hospital. You have thousands of patients, thousands of pieces of data, millions of pieces of granular forms of data, all of that integrated within Foundry's ontology, and then you layer this AIP on top of it, and now you're a non-technical person in the hospital. You're a nurse. You're, an administrator. You're someone who's not, you're someone who's not trying to sift through thousands of pieces of Excel sheets, and you just ask a question to Foundry's AIP, or to Palantir's AIP, and you get an answer immediately. You're saying, hey, is this patient supposed to have these drugs at this time? Or why is this patient blah, blah, blah? Or when does this patient get off blah, 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 blah? You ask all these different questions and you immediately get answers. How much more productive would that make an organization? If you're at a pharmaceutical company and a researcher that is almost at a breakthrough at trying to figure out these certain molecules that may work together to come up with a different drug, and they're on their path to discovery, is asking these intense questions, getting answers immediately and more productive to get to that breakthrough. If you're on the battlefield and you have to ask a very specific question about where something is located, and you have all the data, it's incorporated within the software, all you need is the answer now to make a decision. How much more effective and productive does that make you? All of this sounds really good. All of this sounds really cool. But the one thing that makes this make sense is if there is governance and security and privacy controls over the data. And I think that's the biggest thing that was in this letter, which is like, at the end of the day, and this is sort of a little bit of the bear case now, other companies are definitely going to do this, right? We've seen tons and tons of enterprises. Microsoft has already implemented this in some of their business suite products, where they're going to say, hey, what ChatGPT is doing for consumers, let's put it inside of the enterprise, let's sell it to different organizations, and now different organizations will be able to utilize this sort of chat-based UX, NLP type of approach to being able to get answers to business questions, so you don't have to sift through tons of dashboards, you just get the answer immediately. The number one thing that differentiates Palantir is, first, they already have companies using their product. So if Tyson's saving $200 million a year, they'd be like, hey, Tyson, here's something else that will help you save maybe another $200 million a year because you're going to become more effective or efficient. But number two is they actually can guarantee privacy and control over the data. I was speaking to some people last night that understand Foundry and Palantir very well, and the number one thing they told me was that the thing that makes this work, the thing that the reason why this will make Palantir succeed amongst all the other competitors that are going to try something like this is because the number one thing the head general at a hospital or at a banking company, right, a bank or an energy company is going to ask to the salesperson is, can you guarantee that this is bulletproof? Can you guarantee that if we implement all of our data into your software and then we start asking these questions, and someone who asks a question that is not supposed to get the answer because they're not supposed to have the controls, even though they have access to this AIP, can you guarantee they won't get the answer? Can you guarantee that people who do need to access it will get the answer? How can you guarantee that all the precious data we're going to give you and trust in your software is not going to be misused, mistreated, is going to be governed correctly, and is going to be implemented in a meaningful way? And the person I was talking to last night, they said, look, Palantir can guarantee that over every other company. And Palantir spent 2 decades building that. They have spent the last 2 decades philosophically thinking of that from a tech perspective and then actually implementing that in a meaningful way, which is why they have all these governmental contracts working with them and not other vendors, because they are actually executing on what they said they would do, which is protect the data in a meaningful way. And so, the bear case on this is that other companies are doing this, other enterprises are implementing this, and, Microsoft's going to have their own version of it. There's going to be a ton of different varieties of what this looks like. And maybe Palantir is a little bit late here, right? Maybe they should have implemented it a couple months ago because they saw this coming. I think the good thing is, though, and I even asked the person I was talking to last night if he thinks they're late. He's like, they might be a little late, but you got to get it right. And this is going to come out by the end of May, and it's still not going to be perfect, right? This is going to be like in beta for a lot of the customers that are even going to be accessing it. Who knows if they're really going to be selling it anytime soon to like new clients. So there is a learning curve associated with this, but this is one of those things you can't get wrong. Like, you cannot say, hey, we have this new AIP that is going to leverage the LLMs within your organization, built upon a layer of ontology, implemented across all these different suites of softwares that's platform agnostic. You can put it into your organization, you can ask any question, and it's going to be bulletproof and nothing's going to go wrong. You cannot mess that up. And if you got to be a couple months late on that to make sure you have the best product in the world in the face of all these competitors from a governance and security perspective, which again, I cannot highlight enough, that is the most important thing with something like this. It is all the legal and ethical issues that ChatGPT is running into right now. For a business, for an enterprise, that has hundreds of thousands of employees that would be utilizing something like this, and they will utilize this because this is something that is so damn easy to utilize. And for anyone who's started using ChatGPT, you recognize why they got 100 million users in 2 months. It is easy, intuitive. It is the future of how we are going to interact with information. It has to work. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that over the past couple of decades, Palantir has built up the security and governance controls to be able to make it work. They are ready for this moment. It seems like this is their time. And if we imagine Palantir at $100 stock, I think this is how they get there. I think selling this to organizations across the world, and this is just the first iteration of this, and building layers on top of this, and really being able to protect the data that is enclosed within this software for an organization to trust you, I think this is the way we get there. Foundry is amazing. Gotham is amazing. We don't talk about Apollo enough. That is also amazing. This might be the thing that hopefully also gets them into deeper sales conversations, because it's way more easier than selling a very thick product like Foundry versus using something like this, even if it's a pseudo loss leader to get into the organization. And it helps you explain and connect what an ontology is, what an LLM is in the context of your data, and then selling the whole suite of products that Foundry can sell. If you can start with this, which is something so intuitive that I think any person in an organization that has to make a sales decision would recognize is a valuable use case immediately. Because now, Foundry connected all your data. This thing is taking it to a different level. This is not even connecting your data. This is like, you don't even have to look at the data. You ask this thing a question and you get the answers from your data without even having to look at a piece of software. So this is exciting. And this might be something very, very big. We are having the Palantir Weekly podcast tonight. Me, Matt, Chris, Sachin will return. We're going to have a lot of conversation, a lot of thoughts on this, get a lot of different perspectives. Let me know what you think in the comments. How big of a deal is this to you? And we will see if Wall Street wakes up to this as well. Obviously, Palantir's got to implement it. We've got to see some results of it. But it's pretty exciting to see this being implemented. And I think Karp is the CEO because of the governance and security of data from a philosophical perspective that he's believed in over the past 2 decades to be able to bring a product like this to the market. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to dailypalantir.com/subscribe for updates every single day through the daily newsletter. I'll see you guys in the next one.